I don't know about you, but I've felt quite disconnected. I've felt quite anxious, quite on edge at times recently. Welcome to this week's Wellness Wednesday, guys. Today we are talking all about grounding and how it can change your life. This has been one thing that I have really stepped into recently, thanks to my beautiful friend Meg for posting up content on this a few weeks ago. Now, we often think that it is the really big things that make the difference to our health and well-being. But when we come back to the basics, when we come back to the simple stuff, when we come back to nature, it makes the biggest changes in our lives. The thing is, we often think that it needs to be this big, huge thing, this one thing we do, this one answer, this one pill, this one drastic change that will change everything. And we overlook the basic stuff like the drinking enough water, the decreasing of our screen time, the getting enough sleep, the eating well, the getting out in nature and grounding, getting that vitamin D, getting our feet on the earth. Now, I was first aware of grounding when I finished my health coaching studies in 2014, and I I really did not appreciate the power of it. And I love the quote, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That is 100% what was happening for me a couple of weeks ago. And what often looks like our health and wellbeing strategies 1 week or 1 month or 1 year today may look very different to what it's looked like in the past. So my biggest tip for you is to tune in to what your body needs right now. Ask it, body, what do you need? And listen. Or do the intuition sway test. Body show me yes, it sways forward. Body show me no, or the feeling in your body. Okay, what do I need today? So do I need to go out and walk along the river, on the grass, by the beach? Do I need to do yoga? Do I need to do that HIIT session, that weight session? Really tune into you and how your body's feeling. And that's something that I've been doing a lot lately. So I love it when synchronicities come up. Like, give me a like or a love if you've ever had something that keeps showing up. Might be something that is like, okay, synchronicities, like someone says something about grounding and you've heard it over here, and then someone else mentions it, and then you see a post on it and it keeps coming up for you. This is the universe. The universe throws little rocks to start with, little rocks, and starts throwing boulders until we start to listen. So sometimes these synchronicities are just that, or they're just like the universe being like, come on, you need to listen to this. This is really going to be supportive of your health and well-being. So I tuned in, I watched the documentary, which is attached to my blog post. So make sure you're subscribed to my email list so you can get those blog posts and recipes, VIP information out every week. The link is in the Linktree bio to join my mailing list. And so I wrote it, I talked about that. I watched the webinar, I watched the documentary on YouTube. And when I know the how, the understanding, the why behind something, I'm more likely to take the action. Anyone else agree? Like, when you know why something's important, what it's going to do for you. I'm very sciencey, but I'm also very spiritual. But once I understand why something's important or how it works, I'll be like, yeah, I'm in. So I started to do grounding between a couple of minutes to 20 minutes a day. Like, if I can get out beautiful down the beach, then I'm out there barefoot. And I wasn't doing this. I was wearing shoes or thongs. When I'm going for a run, I wasn't getting on the beach and going barefoot, or I was going outside and I was putting thongs on because I didn't want to touch the earth or stand in whatever I might have stood in. But this detaches us from that connection that we have with the earth. And I'm going to explain a little bit about how grounding or earthing works in a moment. But what I noticed was my moods changed, my energy lifted, like how I felt in my body physically changed. And this was just from a few minutes a day. So a lot has been going on in our lives for the past 2 years, like us as in a collective. There's been a lot happening. There's a lot of different interesting energy happening in the world. But us as in myself and hubby, in the way that there have been things that have challenged us beyond measure. And I choose to see them as a way for me to step into that growth, for me to build my resilience and for me to up the ante on my self-care. I talk to my clients about this all the time. The pendulum of life swings both ways. The craziness, the busyness, the unrest, the whatever it might be. But as long as we start to swing the pendulum back this way, because sometimes we can't change what's happening over this side, we start to swing the pendulum back this way with upping the ante on our self-care, our health, then it helps to counteract some of what is happening. So how does it work? So Earthing Canada is the organization who has presented this documentary. There is also a book on this as well. That is what the documentary is based around as well. And so Earthing Canada explains earthing or grounding as that physical connection that takes place between electrical frequencies in a human, in our bodies, and of the earth. So everything is energy, right? We are all energy. And so what happens is that we've actually misplaced our connection with energy, with the energy of the earth. We're inside more. We've got all of this the electromagnetic frequencies from our devices, from the lighting in our house, the electricity in our house, like all of these things are disrupting our energy. So we're not grounded. You know how like with electricians, you need to ground things when you're working on electricity? The same principles apply to our body. So there's some severe repercussions if we don't focus on this. And I had a client of mine, she works in health as well. And she was saying after the earthquake the other day that one of her clients was really uneasy. She was having all of these things happen with her heart and her blood pressure, and everything was going haywire. And she just thought, this is before we'd talked about grounding, but she intuitively said, okay, well, have you been outside barefoot? Like, let's get you down on the earth and grounding. And she's in allied health. She's studied at uni. She does a lot of alternative stuff as well, but she trained mainstream as well. And she was suggesting this client go do some earthing, some grounding. And as soon as she did, the symptoms disappeared and she changed and she started to get back down to that energy frequency that allowed her body to perform in the best optimal way possible. Our bodies are always searching for homeostasis, a constant internal environment. And the way that we do that is by our lifestyle, getting out in nature, what we do, also the food we eat, all the different things that we do in diet and lifestyle contribute to this homeostasis, and earthing/grounding is one of those. So I want to get a tiny little bit sciencey on you before I talk about the benefits. But basically we have electrons and we have free radicals. Electrons are negative charges that attract the opposite charge, so positive, and free radicals are positively charged. Now, what happens is that in our bodies, free radicals are produced to help with injury and stress and disease by removing the negatively charged electrons from our damaged tissues or any pathogens and things like that. What happens though is that there's too many of these free radicals in our body. So they've become way too common because of our fast-paced, crazy lives, stress around work, stress around money, all of these things. So they make up our immune system and they're constantly producing more and more free radicals to fight what our body is perceiving as a threat. Hello, modern day world. We feel like we're in a threat 24/7. Most of the time. So what happens is when there's all of this abundance of these free radicals floating around, this often leads to what we call oxidization of healthy tissues. It's damaging that tissue. So grounding, what it helps to do is it helps to alleviate those free radicals in our body, which can lead to chronic inflammation and pain. Because what earthing or grounding does is it actually gives our body a huge amount of those negatively charged electrons. So the negatively charged electrons from the earth bind to these extra free radicals in our body, and it helps to counteract that response, that inflammation. How cool is that? Something so underestimated that can be so powerful. So I just love that. If you want more of the science behind it, the link to the doco is in my blog. What are some benefits? Let's just touch on a few benefits as we finish up today. But as I said, decreases inflammation, sleep, supports sleep, decreases chronic pain, increases energy. Like these are a few of the things that I've seen. Normalizes our biological rhythm. So that's what helps with our sleep. blood pressure, blood flow, even the viscosity of our blood, headaches, migraines, things like that, muscle tension. It helps with accelerate our healing process, whatever our body needs. Jet lag, so that's why I say get out if you're traveling when you can. Menstrual and hormonal issues and stress. So guys, there are so many benefits, whether it's 5 minutes sitting on the grass eating your lunch, or playing in the park with the kids, or running on the beach with the dog. How can you make grounding a part of your everyday, even if it's a crappy day outside, if it's just barefoot, putting the clothes on the line? So share with me in the comments. Let me know, how is grounding going to become a part of your day? Do you already do it? What are some changes that you've noticed? I'd love to hear from you, and just might change your life. One of those small things that you can do each day that'll build up. Have a beautiful rest of your Wellness Wednesday, and I will see you all next week. Bye, everyone.